get started with this. You remember the recipe, and it's really pretty, I said it right here somewhere. Once you make creme brulee several times, you really don't forget how to make it. The basics are very simple, but like I said, some of those things I told you earlier are really to be paid attention to. We have cream, about 25 ounces of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in the pot. I'm going to put the salt in there with it. And about half the sugar. Now what that does basically is as we heat up the cream, it's going to cause that sugar to melt and it's going to cause it to dissolve in that cream. So we won't have to worry about most of the sugar being crystallized. It'll be all melted into the cream. While that's going on, we've got our egg yolks here. As you can tell, I still have not put the sugar in the egg yolks. I'm going to also scrape out my vanilla bean. And if you've never worked with a vanilla bean before, I just take a little paring knife, I make a score line all the way down the length of it. And what I'm going to do is kind of peel it open and scrape out all the seeds and wonderful flavor that's inside of this stuff. Now as I just peel it open to a certain amount, I just take the back of the knife and I scrape down until I get all that good stuff out of it.
Regular vanilla extract right here.
Yeah, it could. But one thing that we look for in creme brulee is all those little black flecks in the bottom, and that's something that just kind of, just tells you that, oh, I used real vanilla, real vanilla bean. But if all you have is extract, the vanilla bean is equivalent to about a tablespoon of extract. About a tablespoon. So if you have good vanilla extract, use the pure stuff. It'll work and it'll taste really good as well.
Did you use the whole one or a half of one?
I used a whole one in this one. Yeah, I just threw a whole one in there.
Darn.
Yeah.
Can we throw a whole one in?
Yeah, you can throw a whole one in there.
Okay.
Where can you get vanilla bean around here?
You can buy them at the supermarket, but they're not cheap. You'll find them, like 2 or 3 of them in a jar from McCormick. They sell them. The best way is, I'd say the best place to find really cheap spices, the Mexican food markets are really wonderful. The international market over at Rodeo Plaza in Carbondale, another great place to buy spices cheap. Any international market can be a really good source. And of course, if you're in St. Louis, you can usually find good deals. Yeah, Global Foods is there. We have Trader Joe's, other places you can find them. If you find a good source for cheap vanilla beans, buy more than you think you'll need, because you'll eventually use them.
How long do they last?
Practically indefinitely. I have a container back there with a green cover on it. Now those are old husks that I just kept, but that pound lasted over 3 years, and they've been fine without refrigeration. They're even better if you refrigerate them. They'll stay even fresher. Now most chefs would say vanilla is one of those things, they would call it actually perishable, because it eventually does change in flavor a little bit if it's not refrigerated, but I find that it tastes just fine. I refrigerate them. Sometimes I'll throw the whole container in the back of the fridge, and they just taste great. And they seem to stay softer and more moist if you refrigerate them. Now, because I'm infusing this cream with vanilla, that implies that I could put anything in there. Right? I could put in, let's say, coffee beans. I can crack them with a rolling pin, throw them in there, and let that steep for a half an hour, and let that flavor get in there. Why not? Yeah. How about a big mitten full of really good Chinese tea? Throw that in there. Get some really wonderful flavors. Mint, of course. Chocolate. Orange peel. All kinds of things can you put in there. Just remember, you'll have to strain it out. The nice thing about vanilla is, it's just a big bean. I just take the whole husk and I pull that out, I'll throw that away, and we'll just leave all the good stuff, all the seeds inside, and it'll be really, wonderful. And people don't mind those little black flecks in there, because that's supposed to be there. But when it comes to coffee, just things like that, things that will soak up liquid. Coffee beans soak up a little liquid. Any sort of leafy spice, leafy herbs will do the same. If that happens, and you put it in here, it also will sit for a long time and evaporate off some liquid. So just be aware of that. If you start up with 25 ounces and you put in, let's say, a handful of coffee, let that steep. By the time you strain it out, you will have lost something. So be ready to weigh it again and bring it back to 25 ounces with some more cream, just to make sure you have the right ratio and the right amount of liquid to egg yolks. But if you do that, you'll be able to infuse it with almost any flavor you want. You can also add things like liqueurs. If you want to add, things like strong flavored liqueurs. Anise would work really well. Wonderful licorice flavor. Lots of possibilities. So, pumpkin, of course.
Can we rate the liquor?
We can rate it to a certain extent today. Yeah, we can. I wouldn't put a whole lot in. Remember, it's going to cook, so you want to put a little bit in there and see what kind of flavor you get out of it. It's going to cook, and all the alcohol will evaporate away, but the flavor will remain, and that's something to always be considered when you're making crème brûlée. This time of year, people do like to make a lot of pumpkin crème brûlée. If you want to use pumpkin anytime in the future, I don't think I ever had much made pumpkin here, but I would replace.
We may still have a can or two downstairs with the goulash.
Yeah, if we have some, like especially if we have a small can, it'd be great to have smaller ones. If they're like number 10 cans, we could possibly freeze the rest or something like that. But
I'll double check. I think we may have one or two.
if you're really hot to trot on flavoring pumpkin someday, you can take, let's say, 4 ounces of cream out, put 4 ounces of cream or 4 ounces of pumpkin in to replace it, and that can make a really good, still make a good ratio for your egg yolks. And it adds a lot of flavor. It gives it a nice sort of terracotta orangish flavor, or orangish color, and it really looks nice and tastes nice. Great for this season. If you want to add then some allspice, a little nutmeg, a dash of clove, any one of those spices work very well with pumpkin. So those are all possibilities for flavoring crème brûlée. That's a real popular thing to do right now. People like to make different flavors of crème brûlée. Personally, I'm perfectly happy with vanilla. I mean, the vanilla is good enough for me. It's really wonderful by itself, and that is the classic. Okay, this is just starting to come up to temperature. You notice I'm really doing it kind of slow. I don't want to really bring up the temperature so fast that it starts to boil really quickly. I'm just trying to add it little by little. Bring it up little by little.
Is it getting a film on the top of it?
No, but there you can see the black flecks from all that vanilla floating on the top. And it would form a film if I eventually let it sit here for a while. It would start to film over.
Could you add pumpkin and vanilla?
Sure. Yeah, the pumpkin would just be, mostly for color and a little bit of flavor. Then from there, really what you're tasting in the pumpkin pie, for example, would be the spices that you add to it. Yeah, so you'd be making something like, in many ways, like pumpkin pie, but a very different texture without the crust. So let's say you want to do it for Thanksgiving, and you want it, instead of making pumpkin pie, you decide you're going to make pumpkin crème brûlée and make one portion for each person. And you don't have a whole lot of leftovers to worry about. And it's really, it gives you that same flavor that you were hoping for, the same flavor profile of that, sort of autumn, harvest, fall flavor of pumpkin pie with all those spices. So we're getting close here. Once this has come to a gentle simmer, I'm going to go ahead and fish out that vanilla bean husk, because I don't want to deal with the vanilla bean husk. It mentions on the recipe here, strain it. I don't bother, personally, unless I'm worried that I may have caused the egg to cook and form little blobs of egg. Then I might want to strain it out to make sure I get out any lumps. But other than that, I don't worry about it, because the vanilla bean seeds are really small, and nobody minds those at all. All right, so we're coming to a simmer. Like I said, I'm just going to fish out this husk. Usually I like to run my fingers down it and get any flavor off of it that I can. Once the husk is done, it's done. You can't really use it for much of anything after that. But a husk that hasn't been boiled in cream can be used for a lot of things. And you can make wonderful vanilla sugar out of it by putting the vanilla bean in the sugar and letting it sit for a few months. Makes for really good topping for things. Imagine putting that on your crème brûlée. It's already flavored with vanilla, and it's burned on top. So it's really wonderful.